Hello and welcome to episode 12 of the Isuzu Utes A-League download. I'm Max Rushton. These two gentlemen are Archie Thompson and Thomas Sorensen. Welcome, chaps.
Hi, Maxie.
Recovered from the new year. So
I was in bed at 8:50 p.m.
We're just talking about, 1st of January.
Yeah.
Now we're going to eat proper, don't drink, so all those things.
Yeah, but I think viewers looking at this, there's one angle that's not so complimentary, but they're looking at the biological optimum of man here, aren't they? Like,
it's hard work. It's hard
It
work.
is staying this ripped. We're like Mo Salah, aren't we? Someone said when Salah rips his shirt, it's like groundskeeper Willie in The Simpsons. You're not quite expecting it, are you? And then suddenly you're like, whoa, look at him. Look at that. What is it? Look at that rig. That's what the kids say, isn't it?
Yeah.
Anyway, look, just for the record, it is the 6th of January, Monday. There have been lots of games from New Year's Eve to now. We've all seen the highlights, but let's be fair, none of us can remember what day was when and what game was when. So if anything we get right, if we get anything right in this 40 minutes, we deserve a medal, right?
Definitely.
Here are the results. If you missed them, great win for West United at Perth. We'll get to that first because it was an amazing end to that game. Good win for Central Coast at Brisbane. They also drew at home to Melbourne City. We're going to try and do this sort of dovetail between the teams. We really thought about the running order today. So Melbourne City got 4 points over this little period. Auckland played once, goalless draw at home to Melbourne Victory, who also drew against Western Sydney Wanderers. They also lost to Macarthur, and Newcastle Jets drew with Sydney FC. And I think that's all the games. Have I not mentioned one? If I haven't,
We'll get to it.
We'll get to it. We'll get to it eventually.
Yeah.
Let's start then with Perth versus Western United. And that overhead kick from Jordan Loudon is ridiculous. But my overwhelming emotion was just how gutted I was for Perth. Because we should be celebrating that moment. But I just thought, when you can't catch a break, you can't catch a break, Archie.
Oh, Maxie, I'm in the same boat as you with that because I actually thought Perth were really good. Better than what they have been. I know their performances over the year haven't been fantastic. It seems like you've got to take small wins with Perth Glory, and I felt like
this defeat is in many ways a small win.
It's a small win because they actually played not bad.
Yeah.
Like their passing was better. Okay, still moments defensively, but when you lose a game in the manner that they did, and you look at that goal that equalised, the ball gets played in, it doesn't get dealt with, but there's a runner in the back, and it falls kindly to him, and then he finishes it, and then a world-class goal. We've seen it twice this year, overheads. Puel for Macarthur, and now Lawton. Lawton.
Everyone's saying Lawton to me. The guy's not got a Wikipedia page yet, so somebody start that. He's scored this goal.
It's
right?
already up.
Well, I had to scan his Instagram, his tag, just to find him to repost that goal because it was magic. And the way that they lose it like that, they just can't catch a break. But it's a small little win if you're going to take the positives from the way that they played.
And that shot of David Drillich on the sideline, you could just see his soul just leave his body, and... you got to feel from, and to be fair play to the Perth fans because they haven't won at HBF Park for, I think, nearly a year. It's like 325 days or something. So...
And they're 2-1 up in injury time.
Everyone is praying. And you said there was positives. Jaden Pearman, I think, 18-year-old, making his first start. Great assist for that ball over the top for Taggart. And Taggart was immense. He was involved and obviously scored. And then... he fought, and that was the spirit that they needed. He fought the ball, and then Caluccio ran in behind and scored a great goal. So, so there were a lot of things. But then, you talk about that ball, that cross, and when you freeze it, they're in a perfect position.
Yes, yeah.
They've got 3 centre halves, they've got their 2 full backs, and they're, you said nothing can happen from here. And then one pushes up, and I got a lack header. The back full back doesn't follow the runner, and then suddenly out of nothing, they concede a goal, and then that opens up the finish. But great finish, and John Aloisi, they deserved it because they had chances in the first half. Oliver Sale made a couple of good saves. So, but sometimes you need these wins. You need to hang on to it, and they haven't.
Yeah, and I don't know if you've ever seen this, but a red card celebrated like it was. Like a second yellow card.
And getting high fives when you come off.
If you're going to get a red card...
That's how to do it.
That's how to do it. And, you can see how happy John Aloisi was. usually when a manager sees a guy with a red card walk past, it's usually an evil eye or something like that. But man, high fives. The bench was excited, and
But it's such a stupid rule. Like, you've just scored an overhead kick in the 95th minute to win a game.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, like, if you ignore what we said about 5 minutes ago about being ripped, I'm not going to take my shirt off after scoring a goal for many reasons, right? But, you know, I would sort of, like it would be an offence.
I struggled to get mine
Yeah,
on.
exactly. Yeah. But still, it's so, I mean, whoever came up with that
It's
rule.
FIFA. Like, let's be honest.
Why did they come up
It's
with
the idea of inciting a crowd, maybe, or something like that. But it's just like the whole point of this is to enjoy it, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's been scientifically proven that football is not healthy to be a football fan, right? We're like Perth fans here, right? You're going through misery and then more misery. It's actually bad for you. We should get another pastime. So you've got to celebrate the moment.
Yes.
You've got to go. You know, this moment for Jordan Loughton, right?
Yeah.
He's a young guy. He might have the greatest career of any Australian footballer, but he might not. But this moment, he will never forget this,
No.
right? And then...
Like, potentially he could have got a foot in the door and maybe in line to start next week. And then now he's obviously got a game suspension, you know. So that's also, you know, you got the highs, but also a little bit of a low.
Yeah.
Mind you, I reckon if I'd scored that, I wouldn't mind just sitting off the next week.
Yeah.
See what you got, lads.
Yeah.
4 wins in a row for Western United.
Yeah.
And I think, I don't know about you, I didn't expect them to go on a run like this, from what I'd seen before that. And they haven't necessarily totally dominated all these games. And the one before this winning streak was a 0-0 where they battered someone. I forget who.
I think it was MacArthur.
MacArthur, that might be right.
Yes.
But this is a brilliant run.
And I really love the way that West United are playing football. And the young players that they have are just incredible. Technically, they're great. They're sharp in really small spaces. And I really enjoy that type of football where, you know, they bounce and then they go and they receive. And so hard for defences to really... defend those sort of that type of movement, and they're not like the biggest of teams, but they're so just technically gifted, especially in the middle of the park. I keep going back to it, but Bozanovsky, I just think's such a great little player, and you know we keep pointing out Fergate. It seems like every single week, but the way that they are controlling the ball and starting things, and just a really exciting young team, amazing what they've done.
Yeah, no, and again, it's a good mix of experience and young talent. Botic up front as well, keepers playing well. So they've and Imai at the back, so they've got experience as well. But fair play to John Aloisi. He's got a tough job there. Again, he hasn't got maybe the budget that some of the other teams have, but I think you can see he's sort of made something bigger than the sum of its parts and elevated some of the young players. And, I think it's pretty amazing that they've gone on this run because, you were talking about Central Coast. No, they're the ones that are going to, like last year, they're going to turn it around. But I didn't see Western United. I thought, they're going to be bottom three, but fair play.
And a beautiful thing about West United is they're actually dipping into their academy players.
Yeah.
That's the beautiful thing. I guess we're seeing it all over the league, but really at West United, they are using a lot of those products, and that's great because when you're a young kid starting your career in the academy with your West United team, there's something real special about that you hold as a player, like a fan, really. You're a fan, and all of a sudden you're playing for the club that you support. I think this is the sort of thing that academy players get, where they get the opportunity, and now they actually got the opportunity to play first team football, and they're going, wow, yeah, this is great.
Sure, and if you're in that academy and you see other academy products getting in the first team, you go, okay, there's a pathway.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And
you need a pathway.
And then you're attracting also too, I think, maybe other young players that are just thinking about which academy they want to go to. Do they go to Victory? Do they go to City? Or do they go to an academy where they're actually getting used?
Yeah, my 2.5-year-old this morning said, I've decided.
Western United.
I've decided.
I
like what John Aloisi. I've committed to Western United and no one else.
Just hope that Aloisi got a 15-year contract.
I said, good for you, son. Let's do Western Sydney's games. Then they lost to MacArthur. They then drew at Melbourne Victory. We'll do the MacArthur game first. Knackers, our mate Knackers, was in the stand. That steward had been following him all week, and he pointed to the chair and he said, "That's where you've got to sit, Knackers." Should we start with Juan Mata's goal? Because we've been waiting for a moment, and it's a lovely finish. I do think everyone's gone a bit overboard with like quite a nice left foot finish from 15 yards. Like, it's a good goal, but it's not, this is not Rivellino. It's just a nice goal, but everyone's gone mad. And he was, because they were 1-0 down, he was trying to get back to the centre circle. And everyone else was going, no, hold on, this is like a huge moment.
It's you.
It was like standing ovation. He was like, eventually had to applaud everyone in the crowd. He was like, can we just get on with the bloody thing?
Yeah. I think just everyone was kind of pulling for him to start and to actually have a real impact in scoring a goal, because, everyone that speaks about Juan Mata is that he's a beautiful guy, an amazing footballer, hasn't been given the chance, and now he does, and then he scores. But like you said, he's like, okay, I scored, but let's go back. But then you start seeing all these Instagram
his whole
messages.
family are there, and it's like they're bringing him out, and your great uncle's come down, and here we go. And
it was just, and then all his ex-teammates.
Yeah,
did you see?
exactly.
They were just right. What a wonderful, it was a great finish too. But he actually, I thought, was really great in that position where he was playing, getting the ball, keeping it very simple. That's what I love about Juan Mata, is that and this is a great lesson to young kids, is that sometimes they want to do the spectacular before getting the basics really well.
Yeah.
And Juan Mata, you can see, when he gets the ball and he needs to play it first time, he does. When he's got a bit of time, then he can look up and go, okay, I'm going to hit it there. And I love sometimes how great players just make the game look really just simple with the simple things they do. And he did that.
occasionally, we're playing a five-a-side game with a guy who had come from Spurs Academy, right? I think he won the Asia Cup with Harry Kane, right? Ooh. He was a brilliant footballer, and he was doing exactly that, right? He'd get it and give it and get it and give it. And then some old lump would get the ball and then just try and dribble around every place. It's like, are you what? This guy was playing for Spurs 2 years ago, and you're trying to, what are you trying to do? Oh, you're so
exactly
right. The simple thing, play the way you're facing.
Yes.
Yeah, and also it's about like he doesn't need to prove it to himself.
Yeah,
what other people need to that self, just I need to show myself.
Yeah,
I need to show everyone that I never made it. You know, why I never made it. Just keep making the same mistake. But yeah, great players do the simple things.
Yes,
yeah, that's the advice for me.
But they lost because and it's a great win for MacArthur. This actually, isn't it?
Yeah, but then again, like they've got players in form. Like Jed Drew, again, like 5 goals now, 5 assists, and you can just see the confidence of the man. Obviously, he picks his right spot for the first one. Second one,
do you reckon it's a cross or a goal shot?
No, I think it's a shot.
Yeah.
I don't
I
think
think the keeper should save it, don't you?
Because
I think if he's gone outside of his foot, then it's bending round. I
thought so. Same. Like Lawrence Storm is a good goalkeeper,
yes.
and we saw him like the other day, like saving 2 or 3 similar shots. Asani had a deflection shot he saved, but sometimes that pace just it just beats you. You're there, I've got it, whoop, and then suddenly poof, it's past you. So I think that the pace just simply beat him. And
it's a bit like when ex-pros who aren't goalkeepers just say you can't get beaten at your near post. You go, no, but you really can. Like, of course, goalkeepers get beaten there quite a lot because sometimes footballers kick the ball incredibly hard right in the corner of the goal.
Even Alisson this morning, and it was a Kalucha's goal near post. So several, but sometimes it's just when you got that confidence, Archie, you feel like you can score from anywhere, and you just see him he's strutting around, and, fantastic for him. And then Peel, from halfway line, just bullying, getting in behind, and being also cool with his finich.
Yes.
I think
he's got so much potential, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Oh, and just the physical ability. Sometimes you see that, but they can't quite. They can't quite work it or make it sort of into an advantage. But, if he can continue and work hard, he's a little bit Irankunda-ish, but bigger.
Yes.
They've got some good young talent there.
But you're right about the technique for the finish, right? Because that's the key, isn't it? To have the skill and the talent as well as physicality. It's interesting, Erling Haaland, I think, was actually quite small as a kid. So sort of learned how to play football and then suddenly just went like this. And if you're incredibly strong and quick, you don't necessarily have to, when you're playing youth football or whatever, learn the technical side of the game because you can sort of get away with it. But the fact that he's he's got that. You know, in glimpses, he's got a lovely touch. Intelligent player as well.
It's not the finished product. But again, like it's you know, you can see the ingredients for a great cake.
May Peel be the greatest cake there is. But yeah, no, I agree with it. It's a lovely finish. They followed Western Sydney, followed that up with a 2-2 draw on Saturday evening against Melbourne Victory. I like anybody who was in Melbourne on Saturday evening, like playing football in that temperature is ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. What was it, 40? 39? I could barely just sit in the garden. Like, you know, it's one of those where you open the back door, you're like, poof, you're hit by this. And they've got to play football in this.
Yeah, and to be fair to the players,
they ran around a lot.
It was great intensity to how they played that game, especially in that stifling heat. Sometimes I feel, though, because we have played in those sort of heat temperatures before, when it's a later kickoff, there's no sun beaming down on you. It's still hard, but it's not as hard as a 5 o'clock kickoff. I mean, you can still give a lot. And I thought that Western Sydney efforts were fantastic, especially, you know, playing against Macarthur. I think they were some pretty taxing conditions too. And to be fair, this period for a lot of these teams, it's taxing on their squad. And that match was, I think, so entertaining. Western Sydney, I thought we're going to get run over by Melbourne Victory at the start of this game, just with the way that Victory play at home. But I don't know, Alan Stajic has got this team humming at the moment. Like, just got them. The only problem for them is defensively. They just leak too many goals.
Yeah, and you know, they'll be disappointed with that corner because it's that classic, you know, guy at the edge of the box, and you know, it's just squared in. Like, people switch off and. You know, strikers don't do their defensive job. You know, they're like just lolling around. You know, and then the cross back stick, Miranda pops up, and then he loses his head just before half time. You know, so that's a killer.
To get a goal,
it's a great pass.
It's a goal and an assist for him. It's really impressive.
And it's just like you sit there, and it's like it's a no-look pass. He doesn't even look up, and I don't know. You know, just before half time, and it's an absolute momentum killer.
Yeah.
And then. You know, again, they'll be happy with the draw and the penalty. Clisby obviously hits it with the hand. So, but it was a great game, and I think you can see two teams that want to play football that are exciting going forward. And you know, they definitely Stajic. You can see there's definitely belief back at Western Sydney that hasn't been there.
Yeah, and especially with the fan support too.
Yeah,
that whole away bay. For Western Sydney,
both Sydney sides, even
Sydney
and Newcastle. So it's great to see because that's been a thing that's been missing in the A League because the distances are so great. But when they actually got an opportunity, you know, it's coming down to Melbourne. Fantastic.
And that's and you know, there is a belief I feel that's starting to really come across the whole Western Sydney team. But not just the team, but the fans because of that travel. Because they've been a bit tentative in, I guess, going and supporting when they've got such a great support. I feel like this is a good opportunity now that they're playing so well that we'll start to see the fans come back.
You need that back rocking. You know, we can all remember the old stadium and the atmosphere there. You know, if they can get something like that back, get the fans behind them again, then, you know, that's a tough place to go.
And I always... when I did sort of finish up with Melbourne Victory, if I was going to play for another team, it would have been Western Sydney Wanderers, just purely to the fans that they have. They're just incredible.
You're saying the Victory fans just weren't?
Oh no! I mean,
just weren't really at it.
No, they were great. But if I could play, Oh, this next question. Victory fans, unbelievable.
They're the best.
Yeah. But because I couldn't play for their club anymore because I was no good. If I went to another club, it would be Western.
So you're saying Western Sydney were no good, so you could.
Oh gosh!
Hey, give me some water. I love Milanovic's finish. So nice, isn't it? Outside of the left foot,
brilliant.
That's so beautiful to see. Look, Arthur Delay's yet to win Melbourne Victory, and when Kisnorbo was there, and I just thought they looked like the best team. Like they looked like the best team. They just looked like they played the game. The way they moved, the way they attacked. You know, Azani was just, you know, I loved his movement and to not get a victory, I don't think they've necessarily got worse. I think they've sort of shown up in all these games. But the longer that goes on, the more of an issue it is.
Yeah, and it seems like that edge they had, it's sort of gone away. The Auckland, we'll get to that. That, you know, it's just, solid. But and they've got their moments. You know, I think Mashat's back and Asani is playing well, and Fonaroli played in this one. So again, they're going by, but again, he needs to find that. He needs to find his first win pretty quickly now, just to. Also for himself, he's been thrown in the deep end in some way, and pressure's on.
So their other game, as you mentioned, was that goalless draw in Auckland. What did you make of that one, Archie?
Probably a game that we could really just speed over.
Fine.
It wasn't.
I'm happy to do that.
It wasn't. Yeah,
there was that great save from Jack Duncan. I mean, it hits him in the face, right? But
Yeah.
you've got to put your face there, right?
Yeah. No, again, they more or less cancel each other out.
Yeah.
I think it was two well-organized teams. We know what Auckland is about. I think De Vries keeps improving. Like him coming from a local team.
Yes, I love
he was in Scandinavia, but he missed that chance. But he keeps delivering crosses and making things happen.
Yeah.
Disallowed goal, marginally offside. But yeah, it was one of those games where maybe it didn't deserve to have a winner. I think they were both, okay and did a solid defensive job.
Just a question on Jack Duncan and Mitch Langerak coming back.
He was sitting in the stand when
Yes,
the camera was on.
What do you think? I mean, it's good to have two good keepers, right?
Yeah, and I think Duncan, he's deserved an opportunity, and like ultimately they'll fade Mitch Langerak because of who he is, and I think he's in my
Fading
mind,
him in sounds quite stealthy.
Yeah,
So what,
but-
like
yeah,
just
but,
Jack Duncan will be there, and then somebody just
I've been
create
in
a
that
diversion. Be like, Jack, look over there.
No. Hey,
And it's like, oh, what?
that's what manager. No, I've been on the end of that. Like
Really?
sometimes you get a young talent in, and initially they want to put them in, but then. They want to be fair to the.
Who was your nemesis? Who was the young keeper that took your
Asmi
keeper?
Bekovic. So he
Really?
got signed at Stoke City, and then
And he's about 50.
he is now. Well, he wasn't that. And then Tony Pulis was like, "Yeah, you play," and then. No, man. We'll give him a cup game, and then maybe we should share. Maybe you play a couple of Premier League games, and he'll play, and then eventually he's like, "Oh, see you, old man. You're on the bench."
And did you hate it? Like, because they always have to say, "Look, we love training together. It's really great." But you must be sitting there going, "I hope Asmir gets a calf strain." Like,
You know what? I've always been fair and had a good relationship, but of course, you're selfish deep inside, and you want to play, and I'm sure. Duncan, I think, again, feel he deserves a continued run, and Minch hasn't played for a couple of months. So, again, in training eventually, and I'm sure when a few mistakes creep up, Mitch will get a chance. So, and then it's up to him to keep his place.
Newcastle Jets 2, Sydney 2. This was Saturday afternoon.
Yeah.
Was it hot in Newcastle? I just thought it was hot. It was hot in my
Yeah,
garden.
looks
So I'm presuming it did look really hot,
yeah.
didn't it? I guess this is not a surprise to Australians. Right? And I've been here long enough to know that it is hot sometimes.
Jets.
To be 2 up with, 10 minutes left?
I'm
12
so.
minutes left.
That's another team that I felt like Perth with Jets, because they stopped Sydney playing in that first. I think it was the 30-something minute that Sydney FC got their first touch in the 18-yard box and a shot away. And that's when you look at the squad and the players that they've got in that front line. That was really good for Jets to do that. And then they get an early goal, and then they get a goal in the 70th minute, which was just an amazing ball.
Yeah.
Split
So
between.
good from Aquilina. Such a good pass.
Man, you
isn't it?
could watch that over
Yeah.
and over again. And the run was just timed perfect. There was actually even a one before that when they had another great chance when a similar ball was played. And then, but Sydney have done it again. They great escape against Adelaide.
And they capitalised.
Same
Like
against
Ryan Scott just, gets caught with a couple of bad punches, and like sometimes as a keeper you make sort of a half punch and you start chasing, and then he. But again, Caceres, you got to, it's not an easy. Technically, it's perfect, and these are the teams. Like some teams take advantage of the opportunities they get, and other teams don't. And we see that week in and week out, and that was definitely a get out of jail. After Joe Lolly again, got them back in the game, and so Newcastle, you can see the building blocks.
Mate, it's
Eli
great.
Adams is great. Bayliss, they've got the young Gibson and the Aquilina, and they've got an exciting team. But you could even see Stanton after the game was like, we deserve this, and then you give same with Perth. Like we deserved something from this, and then boom, you still give it away, but. at least
knows
there's
the one
optimism.
thing Stanton wouldn't have given it away, wouldn't he? Because he built this country with these hands. He did it. Exciting moment for me. Joe Lolly followed me on Instagram. My first thought was, surely he's got better things to do than watch this nonsense, hasn't he? Doesn't
You're
mean I'm
quite,
gonna
you're
give
quite good
him
on
easy-
it. You're quite good, man.
Do you think I'm good on Insta?
Yeah.
Do you?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So it's quite exciting. Like,
Do you know what? I mean, when I was trying to become an influencer, I once, I think I mentioned this once. I went live on Instagram and I simmered a bolognese for 2 hours. Just balanced the phone over the bolognese.
what? Instagram Live?
Instagram live. The other thing I did was my wife's all her jewellery was like it
Was she
in a box.
commentating? Was
no,
she-
Oh no, we left it silent.
Oh, okay,
You know,
okay.
and then because they have slow TV in Scandinavia, don't they? Just like a log fire.
Yeah.
Or like just a train going, and it does really
And that's
well.
live.
So-
And that's live. Or
I
they
know
just
it's live, but it's good stuff. Yeah. And the other thing I did was I got my wife's. She had all her jewellery was all it was all bunched together, and I untangled it live. It took 4 hours. Right? This is what you do before you have children. You can do anything. And the trick is, if you are watching this while embarking on trying to untangle jewellery, is get a little pin, and then you can put it in the little ringlet bits.
These are invaluable life lessons. Invaluable life
They are.
lessons.
It could help somebody. But look, just so Joe Lolly knows, doesn't mean I'm going to go easy on him. You know, like we've got journalistic integrity on this show.
He's good up until this point, but hey,
He's playing well. To be fair to the guy, he's playing well at the moment. Isn't
Yeah,
he?
I mean, a great finish there too. Because Douglas Costa gets injured. But again, the easy swap for Ufuk-Talay was to put Lolly out in the wide position.
That's the thing, like,
He
again-
cuts in and hits with his left. Beautiful.
but the defender, like he just show him down the line. Like he sort of
he's left-footed.
Yeah, it's just that again.
He's a one-trick pony, Joe Lolly. Joe's a one-trick pony.
No, but
Show him on his right.
again,
Check your phone just now. 'Cause,
It's back to the details, like body position.
Yeah.
Those small tactical things, and makes a big difference.
Yeah, but I think with good players and very good players is it doesn't matter sometimes.
So like Costa, you can just see when they're
he's
you're
gonna-
squared up to Costa, and he can just make enough room
Yeah,
for himself.
okay.
Right?
Yeah, and that's where I guess it separates from the good players to the really good players is that they're going to do it, but they do it. Like I mean, Bukayo Saka.
Yeah.
Like he's someone he's just going to go onto his left.
I always thought Sane, like Leroy Sane, when he just that pace. Whereas if I am like that with the defender, I might as well just kick the ball out of play. I'm totally screwed. There's nothing I can do. I can't. This is an impasse. It's like checkmate. We just stand still for 90 minutes. We're done. You've got me here. You've got me. There's nothing I can do apart from do the Jack Duncan. Look over there. Melbourne City 2, Wellington Phoenix 0. I mean, it could have been. What's realistic for this, Thomas? 5? 8?
Yeah, and again, I think it was definitely Melbourne City's best performance. I think the press, they caught Wellington out a few times, and again with Andreas Kuhn went out after 19 minutes. They really got injury worries. Jonathan Cohen is now. Who knows how long Kuhn, who's been brilliant, is out. But then again, you got Maceo coming in. You got
6 teenagers in this game.
Yeah, Soleimani as well. And we talked about Western United's academy, and this is where they need to now draw on a brilliant academy and some young players that I feel. I think that's where we see the difference now. Where when I was playing, you were playing, the young players just weren't ready.
Yes.
You felt like, now we got to play with him. Oh, that's. Let's hope the ball doesn't get near. And now, but now they're ready. They're groomed. Like they've been through 4 or 5 years of playing at a NPL level. They've grown up. They train with the first team, and you can see that they're a lot more skilled, and I think that is the difference. And Melbourne City have done a great job with the youngsters, but now they need, because I think still some of the players like Dzeko is out, and then obviously they're still waiting 3 or 4 weeks before some of them come back, and but there wasn't anything you could see in this game that need you to worry, because they were brilliant.
And that finish, Politidis is the first goal. Such a nice finish, isn't it?
And
Just a side foot pass. It's all you need.
Like people think that you got to knock the skin off the ball in the 18-yard box, but you could see that he just used the pace of the ball, and it just was hit perfectly. Going away from the goalkeeper, I don't think there's too much he could have done there. And when you've got players in front of you, it's hard. But Wellington, oh my God, that was probably the worst performance I've ever seen them play. Yeah, well, yes, yes. Well, they can set up, and I think the way that they set up, and the problem with that is that they came with a game plan. They even said it, and we've seen it so many times throughout Chiefy's time as a manager. They'll sit back in a block and use the speed, and Melbourne City haven't been great in the second half. This is something that they want to try and fix. So the game plan was, let's sit back and see what can maybe do in the second half.
Yeah.
But when you concede early,
it ruins
it makes it hard. But they didn't have anything. That was
that one shot.
Yeah.
Not even, I think, not even on target.
No,
and 2 times they were in the box. So, can we? I don't know. We've been obviously, Chiefy, we've given him a lot of praise, but I think also sometimes he can overthink it a little because in his talk after the game, he's like, oh yeah, like it was going to be hot and I was going to do this and we're going to sit back and then they just got caught out.
Yeah.
So it's sometimes it's obviously an advantage and he has definitely turned games around, but I think in this one he probably outdid himself a little bit with the overthinking before the game even because. It was lost in the first half and they had no way back. So that's maybe something that he can, sometimes you just got to go out. And I think Melbourne City, that back line is probably where they've been a bit shaky. So maybe go out and, just at least the first 10 minutes, let's try to hit them and stun them a bit. And
just didn't happen.
Too easy.
Chiefy's he's got to let it go.
Just got to relax a bit.
Yeah.
Just got to relax.
The ball
go with the flow.
The ball is your friend, Chief. Play a bit. Central Coast won, Melbourne City won. So when was this one? This was on Tuesday, right?
Yeah.
So this was before the Melbourne City game we've just done. Not a classic.
No. Man, I think that first half for Central Coast Mariners was very similar to the first half Wellington City. The City had all the ball. They looked dangerous every time they went forward. They sat really deep Central Coast. They looked to play balls on the counter.
So can't we forgive Chiefy for 4 days later trying to do the same thing?
Yeah, well, probably. Yeah, probably.
All is forgiven from 2 minutes ago.
And then for, I think Quoll was just isolated every time he got the ball up the front or tried to win the ball. There was just no one there. So it was always going to be difficult. Then they conceded, and I thought that Melbourne City would go on with it, but they came out stronger, Central Coast the second half, and they did well to get a result out of the game. But I think that was the game that Kuhn went down, Jonathan Kuhn. And he's done so there was actually a bit of footage of them in that Wellington game, all the injured players that were sat up in the grandstand. And Kuhn was the only one missing, so I think
Lecky, Tilio, they can join them all, and their boot is obviously out for a long time.
It was almost like Kuhn, do a hammy, so come up and join us. We'll take this beautiful photo together, and it was
let the young guys,
let the young guys do it. But you can see how much they missed Jonathan Kuhn again. But like I said, the young kids get the opportunity and they're doing it.
They hold the fort. And I think for Central Coast, I think Docker has been really good. He set up another goal against Brisbane at the weekend. Great cross. And I think Nathan Paul got his first goal, I think, for Central Coast. So, it's looking better for them. I don't think they're still, impressing me overly, but at least, they've got 4 points from these 2 games and you can sort of start to build from it, and hopefully, as you said, turn the season around like they've done before.
Another defeat for Brisbane then.
It's
all right, Archie. It'll be okay.
But this is another game, right, that you go, oh, man, I feel sorry for Brisbane.
Yeah.
Because that performance was better than what we've seen. And the chances they created, and this is, again, the goalkeeper has made, Parej Cullen, has made some big saves. Like the one with Waddingham, that could have changed the game.
That's a good save.
That's a
brave
really
save.
Good save. Brave one. And then there's one at the top of the penalty box right at the end where he puts a leg out.
Yeah.
These sort of chances, if they're taken, would have changed, I'm sure, the game for Brisbane, because they just started slow, but they were really moving the ball quickly in that second half. And again, that's just where Brisbane are at. They don't score. then they get on a counter. It's a great finish, and then they get a player sent off, which I don't think should have been a red.
No, I think the first one was definitely a yellow card.
Oh my God, yeah.
You halved him, but then the second one, maybe the referee gets fooled a little bit by his reaction because he sort of apologizes straight away. Where if he had just gone on with it, it's a free kick, but it's not even a yellow, and you got to feel for him. But I think that the good thing is, and we've heard it before, but Satkovic has had the backing, and that they believe in the
project.
The project.
Yeah.
It's always good to have a project because there's no end date on a project. They can keep going. You are on the project. When does that end?
Yeah.
It just
The
keeps
project
going
goes forever.
So that's good.
Third reserve host,
he's
ready to step into second reserve host, and then Walid Ali, I'm coming for you, even though you got me the job. So no, I would feel guilty, but not so guilty. We've all got bills to pay, Walid. Come on. And you've been doing it for so long. You must be bored, right? Anyway.
Did you see the interview, though, after the game, though, when the interviewer asked Ruben Zakovic, are you still the man for the job? And Ruben was like... I know Ruben, and the eyes that he was like looking, and then he gave him a nice,
vein go to the
and then the pat on the back after, like it gave him, he was like, thanks, mate, and he walked off, and he didn't look back. I don't think he was really happy with that sort of question. It's a hard question.
That must be as a manager, like when you get to that point where you get those every single time. So. You think you still got the backing, you think you're still a man, and you just know, like, there's no right, like you cannot.
Yeah. And it's just a weird, and it's totally understandable in this industry, right? Because you can't sack all the players, right? So if you're going to make a change, it's got to be the manager. It's just weird how it has evolved to the point where just a person is continually asked if they think they should get sacked. It's like no one else is walking into work and someone going, "Gonna sack you today?" Like what weird. Like you just be like, confidence would just be in shreds. You get in the lift and I go, "Archie, I think this is you done today. Bad showing. You're out, mate." And you're like people booing you as you leave the office. You're like, it's just odd. I mean, we just totally take it as read. This is just how it should be. You should be asked if you're going to get sacked every week.
Yeah.
I used as a player to hate. Like, I don't know, in England it wasn't too bad, but in Denmark they used to when you've made a howler, you knew you've been involved in a goal during the game, and they were like, "Oh, so how do you think you played?" You just, you just want to tackle him and get a red card right there. It's probably the same feeling.
So they were more of a straight back, more direct in Scandinavia, just like that was rubbish,
so
Thomas.
Instead of saying what do you think about the mistake, and at least you can try to explain it. It's just they leave it open.
Yeah.
It's like, do you want to go there, and if you don't go there, then I'll go deep.
But also, post-match interviews is such a thankless task.
Yeah.
Because all you can really say is, "What did you think of the game?" And you're totally at the total behest of the manager or the player to either be nice or not.
Yeah.
Because they can just go, like Ange yesterday, after the Newcastle game, constantly saying, if it was balanced and equal, and the guy has to say, "Well, what do you think?" And it says, and then the manager goes, "Well, what do you think?" And then you have to say, "Well, no one cares what I think." But I just can't wait for an interview going, "Well, I'll tell you what I think. Right? You were all right. You should have. Maybe you should have won. Maybe you shouldn't. But don't get angry with me. I'm just doing my job. Give me a break." But you can't have a go because then you've got to come back and interview him next week.
Yes, right. That's a hard thing, right?
Exactly. Until your Sir Alex says, "I don't want to talk to that whole organisation." You're like, "Okay, I'm screwed."
And that's the thing I found a bit hard about coming into the
media.
Yeah, with trying to interview players or maybe suggest things or be a bit critical, because then they don't want to talk to you the next week because you've upset them.
Sure. You've got to be fair. I mean, the kids, you've got to upset and see it and be fair. Right?
I think that's the main thing. You don't want targeting or anything, but if it's a fair question, I think, and it's analytic and you can back it up, then fair enough.
But I'm always surprised that any player or manager would take any notice of what someone's saying. It amazes me. So in the UK, they have Monday Night Football. And managers who are out of work occasionally just turn up there as a showcase, say, "Look, I'm here, I want a job." Yeah. And I'm like, football can't work like that. It can't be that simple that a chairman's like going, "God, I need a new manager."
That should be
look, there's Gary O'Neill. Maybe worth it. Oh, have I got his number?
Hey, you would probably be surprised.
But I tell you,
you'd be surprised. I think
this
it's
happened
weird.
once where Cambridge United sacked their manager, and then I'd had Sean Derry, right, played for QPR or whatever. He'd been on a show I was on, and then I got a text from him going, "Oh, what are Cambridge United like as a club?" So I was like, "Oh, they're pretty well run, I think." And then the next I had a text from the CEO going, "What's Sean Derry like as a bloke?" And I'm like, "I've only met him once." But he seems like, I'm like, "Guys, this can't be how this works." And then he got the job. I'm like, "Well, this is. Do I get?
I need a cut on this.
I need to cut both ways out of this. This is ridiculous." Anyway, well done, Mariners. 4 points in 2 games since they all got shit-faced on Christmas Day. So many congratulations to you. It was worth it. That bonding was worth it in the long run, wasn't it? So look, is the table sort of taking shape now? Do we think? Like there
We've
was
got the
obviously
18-point group. Like, there's about 5 teams on 18, or four teams on 18, and it's and hopefully it looks like Auckland are sort of they're becoming more human. They're losing a few points, so I'm sure we'll see soon. It'll all be packed and be exciting for that.
Do you know what I found interesting is as somebody who did not follow this league at all, right? And I don't know if I looked down on it, but was just a bit like, I just haven't got time, right? But then they said, if you'll get to sit on a sofa with Archie Thompson, and so on and so on. I was like, okay, now I'm in. It's amazing how quickly you just sort of get into something, right? And you get into the stories and the players, and they sort of old, like Barbarouses, these old centre forwards who are about 90 years old, but just know where the goal is, and then the young kids coming through, and then the manager, and all this, and the stories, you just sort of get into it, and now you're like, I'm excited about this one, and looking at the league table and thinking, I wonder who's going to go where, and then the desolation of Perth and Brisbane and all of it.
But this is where I fight back every time you get these people, like again, who doesn't follow it and like, the A-League, like you should watch it because actually there's heaps of young players, there's heaps of storylines, the great goals like we've seen, again, and luckily we're seeing more fans, we're seeing more excitement around it, and
it's partly down to this show, of course.
Yes, 100%.
We don't want to take all the credit, but a little bit.
I'd say 84% of the credit.
So it's gone from 80 to 84 now.
Each week we just keep on building. We keep delivering content like this.
Thinking about merch now, right?
Exactly
the
right.
question about merch.
What could be? What do you think? Well, obviously, we'll have mugs, the obvious things like that. not a half and half scarf, but all. We get 3 of us on a scarf, and Backer as well because we like him as well. So 4 of us on a scarf.
He can get the fringy.
Yeah, he'll get the little frilly bit, just a Macedonian frill. We'll have that. Soon, people will just have tattoos of our faces on their chests. It's what we want from the Western Sydney Wanderers, massive, whatever they're called. Let's do that. Yeah. Anyway, well done, everybody. Feels like we've done enough today, doesn't it? What's coming up now? So there's games today and tomorrow, and also next week we're going to have another one of these where we can't remember what's happening. Could you just go to playing at the weekends? It's much easier to follow A-League bosses. Thank you, Thomas. Thank you, Archie.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers, mate.
Thanks for watching. See you next week.